Now in this video, we're going to talk briefly about why some students and why some people in general in life end up with lackluster results and end up disappointed a bit too often. And I'm also going to take some time to show you how SMART targets can contribute to solving that problem and help you to end this year or the course that you're doing with the grades and the qualifications that you want and need to move on to where you want to go. As a bonus, what I'm going to talk about in this video will also help you when it comes to things such as fitness, reading, learn an instrument, or anything like that. Any area of life, these tips will be useful for. So before we start, just a quick reminder that we're always uploading loads of great content that you guys will find useful, that you'll find helpful. So be sure to subscribe if you want all the up-to-date news, information and advice on GCSEs, A-levels, university and beyond. So first of all, let's talk about that problem that I mentioned. Now, if I ask a young person in relation to their future working life, what their goals are, many will say to have lots of money, to live in a big house, or to be a footballer, to be a doctor, to be an architect, to be a nurse, to be a builder, to be a bus driver, all those sorts of things. And there's nothing wrong with that. These goals are perfectly fine goals, they're good. But when I ask this same young person, do they know how to get to that goal? Well, they tend to draw a blank. Why? Because this sort of goal is a far-off goal. It's not based on knowledge, it's not based on planning, it's not based on research. And as the saying goes, failure to plan is of course planning to fail. So it's pretty important that at any time in the educational journey in your life that you know what you're doing and where you're going, and also why. If you don't, then the lack of direction and the lack of goals can lead to a lot of disappointment as you continuously fall short of your own expectations, which are very far off and often too high or too generalized. So then what can you do? Well, you can break down those big goals into smaller SMART targets. So find out what you need to reach those far off goals. Find out what you need to be an architect, for example. Make those goals, but then break down those goals into even smaller goals and targets that you can achieve in the short term and that lead you on to that bigger, larger end goal. Have you ever played one of those games where you've got a massive boss, massive, and you have no idea how to take it out? But then after a few minutes, on each of its arms or legs or limbs or little sections, you see smaller health bars appear. Well, SMART targets work just like that. You've got this big end goal ahead of you, but you can break it down into smaller little chunks, which in the end help you to reach that end goal. So listen very carefully and pay close attention to this video because I'm going to explain how exactly these SMART targets work. Now, SMART is an acronym. Each letter stands for something. The S is for specific, the M is for measurable, the A is for achievable, the R is for realistic, and the T is for timely or time-bound. So let's whiz through these one by one, and please make sure to take notes or to re-watch sections so that you fully understand what we're doing and fully understand how this works, because only by fully understanding it can you fully benefit from it. So let's jump in. So we'll start with S. Now S stands for specific, and this refers to how exactly you're phrasing this target that you're going to create for yourself. So for example, saying, I want to get better results in maths, that's useless. See, it's far too vague. How will you know when you reach that goal? Is it tomorrow when you go to class and you learn a new topic? You're now better at maths than you were the day before, right? Or is it when you go from a grade 1 to a grade 2? Well, ask yourself this. Do either of those things help you to reach your overall goal? Probably not. So we need to make it a bit more specific. So let's rephrase it again and see what we can do. So rather than I want to get better at maths, let's rephrase it to I aim to achieve an 8 in maths, a grade 8 in maths. Now that looks a lot better. So now we know that we want to get better and we know exactly how we'll see that improvement. We'll go from whatever grade we were to a grade 8 now. But there's a little bit more to this and we'll tie it in to some of the points later on in the later lessons. Next up is M. So M is for measurable. So our example is already measurable in that we of course said we want to get a grade 8. So let's try a slightly different example. Okay, and this too will be useful to architecture applicants since we mentioned one already. So they might say, I need to improve my drawing ability. Let's just adjust that slightly because there's nothing measurable in there. So let's change it to say, to improve my drawing skill, I'm going to subscribe to the Hawthorne Arts YouTube channel and do one of their drawing lessons every day. Okay, that's nice, that's measurable. Either you've done it or you haven't. Either you're doing it every day or you're not doing it every day. We made it specific, and the one every day made it measurable. So at any one time, you can now tell whether or not you're actually on task, whether you're doing the target or fulfilling the target. Now we'll do the next two together, that's A and R, because they sort of go hand in hand. So A is for achievable and R is for realistic. Can you realistically achieve this goal with the time, resources, and abilities that you've currently got? That's the question that helps you to define exactly how A and R work. So this 8 in maths that we're aiming for, what grade are you on at the moment? If you're on a 2, well then, considering that you also have a bunch of other subjects to study for and other responsibilities to take care of, well, achieving that 8 in a short amount of time is highly unlikely. It's possible, but highly unlikely. So then let's bring down that aim, that goal, that target, and make it more realistic, more achievable. So let's change it to, I aim to achieve a 4 in maths now. Much more realistic, much more achievable. So how about our other target, the one about drawing? Can you really watch a full tutorial? And most of my tutorials are around half an hour, don't forget. Can you really watch a full one and draw an entire completed drawing in a day, each day for a week, and still maintain your other subjects, still get all your chores done, still take the time to rest? Can you do that? Well, you can, but it probably would not be very good for your health. To be honest, even drawing like that would probably do a number on your arm and on your back as well, because drawing is such a physical task. So let's rephrase this. Now it should be, to improve my drawing skill, I'm going to subscribe to Hawthorne Arts YouTube channel and do one of their drawing lessons every Wednesday after school. So we've gone even more specific now, but we've also spaced it out so that it's more achievable and realistic. Much more appropriate, much better. So then this brings us to our T, our final letter in the acronym. So T is for timely or time-bound, as we said before, and you need to know when you want to have that target reached by. Otherwise, you'll never get it done. So let's add a time limit to our two targets. So for the first one, we'll say, I aim to achieve a 4 in maths in the December end of unit test. There you go. You know it has to be done by December. It's now the end of August, beginning of September when I'm filming this. So I know it's got to be done in 3 months. Good. Second one, to improve my drawing skill, I'm going to subscribe to the Hawthorne Arts YouTube channel and do each drawing lesson every Wednesday after school. And then I will complete 13 lessons by the end of the autumn term. Now you know that last day of autumn term, you can go and check when it is. So December the 18th or 15th or whenever it is at your place of learning or place of school. That's your deadline. That's when you're working towards. If you're going too slow, then you might have to shift it around and maybe do 2 in a week. If you're moving too fast, then maybe you can take a break. But you've now got that end date, which you know you have to get that goal done by, reach that target by. So now we have this time that we can work towards. At the end, it also means that we also have a point in which we can reflect and evaluate our progress, and that can help us shape future goals as well. With that end date in mind, it's going to be so much easier to be focused, and that countdown will do nothing but spur you on. If you find it too stressful, then there's something wrong with your targets. They're not too achievable or realistic. You might need to adjust them slightly, okay? So there we go. 2 very different targets which both match the description of a SMART target for the most part. But which one do you think is better? Well, hopefully you said the second one is, the one that's based around drawing. Now, even though the first target is useful, and as far as I'm concerned is still a SMART target, the second one has an action plan built into it. And this will help guide you on your way. Remember, it's got that mention of what exactly you're going to do and how often you're going to do it. And that's built into it. The first one just sort of was a short statement, which was measurable and attainable and achievable and had a time limit. But it would need to be supported by other SMART targets and other action plans which would help you to get there. So, for example, you might add to it, to reach that grade, that's that grade 4, I will complete 1 chapter in the maths question book each week. And then that would, of course, support that main target there. So just be aware of that and how that works. So at the time of filming this, we're about to jump into a new academic year, but this is a video that will be useful at any time to anyone. Even if you find this video 2 weeks before an exam, it's still going to be useful to you. You can still make use of SMART targets in those 14 days that you have left. So I want you to pay attention to what I've said in this video and really put it into practice. If you're already starting to come up with goals and targets in your head, please let me know down in the comments down below. I'd really like to hear what you guys are planning on achieving in the next few months. Now, if you're having any doubts, why not go and ask the teacher at school about SMART targets, or explain to them the system if they haven't heard of them, and see what they think of them. I assure you that they'll advise you to try them out and use them, because I can tell you from experience that they definitely work. Let me tell you some SMART targets that I had and how they ended up affecting my life. So after being dropped from top set maths to bottom set maths after getting a U in the end of year 10 mock test, I set myself this SMART target. It was to achieve an A by the end of the year 11 mock exams. I will do every piece of homework and extensions as well, and I will answer every question in the maths textbook by that mock exam date. I got my A in maths GCSE. Another one, I set a SMART target to get an A star in my art A level. In order to do this, I will produce a certain amount of large scale paintings, I can't remember the number, a certain amount of smaller studies to go along with it, and 2 complete sketchbooks by the end of the exam period. So the exam starts around February time and ends around Aprilish time. That was my goal. I got an A star in art that year, and I dropped only a few marks. So I was at sort of 96-97%. Let's go a little bit more recent. Another SMART target. I will produce a comic book and sell it at the London Comic Con by the end of my 3rd year of university. Well, I'm sure you're all familiar with Arc Song, my main comic series. The first chapter came out at the end of my degree on the same day that I had my final exhibition. Okay, I had to jump between the two. I had to be in London for a bit, and then I had to go to the exhibition over in Kent and then come back to London. And then of course the one that I told you guys about a number of weeks ago, that I would reach 100 uploads by the end of the summer holiday. Well, I'll have you know that this is my 100th upload. Now please don't take this from me bragging. I have no interest in bragging. What I'm trying to do is make a point to say, making these SMART goals work, okay? Make them, work towards them, put action plans in place, stick to them, then evaluate afterwards, and you'll achieve your goals. Now, without going too much off task, understand that achieving all these goals doesn't necessarily make me successful, doesn't necessarily make me happy. Understand that these goals, qualifications, all this sort of stuff, it has its place. It has its place, and me having that stuff doesn't mean that I'm successful. It just means that I've achieved my goals. So you'll have to work out for yourself what success means for you and how that will work for you and how these goals will work for you. And you'll have to put them in their appropriate place. So that's all for today. Thanks for your support, everyone. I know the channel's grown a great deal since I started putting in the effort back in the beginning of 2020, but I'm glad that so many of you chose to stick around and to support and comment and subscribe and continue to do so. Those of you that haven't subscribed, please continue to subscribe, because of course I'll keep putting out this information, this advice that will help you guys to get to where you want to be. And yeah, at the moment some videos should be appearing on screen which I'm sure you'll find useful, so be sure to check those out. And that's all for now. Until next time.